You're now watching Because Geek. Let's get right into it. I've gotta say, this is a really cool shot. I really like the whole roller coaster feel of it.
Who's gone?
First showing us the dawn and then slowly moving downward till we see Jon. It's a pretty morbid roller coaster, but you know. He's still on the ground since the night before. His body must be frozen rigid as hell by now. You can still see the traitor sign up there. Pretty sad. Oh, and the voice saying he's gone is Davos. I'm guessing he was one of the first to find him the next morning. But we'll talk about Jon again later. The ship from Dorne finally made it back with the dead Myrcella, our third Lannister death in a row. At this point, a season without at least one Lannister death is considered a dull affair. They're definitely not going to give Trystane back. Two things might happen. Jaime might kill him out of rage, or he will take him hostage. I'm going to predict he gets angry, yells at him, and threatens him, but doesn't kill him because he claims he's innocent. One thing's for sure though, Ellaria Sand will get executed for this. Not only does Daario and Myrcella not believe in third chances,
I believe in second chances. I don't believe in third chances.
but she just put his son in the most dangerous situation. There's that, and also all the foreshadowing that we got last season that Ariel Hota will be using his axe for something.
You haven't had to use that axe of yours in a long time. I hope you remember how.
I remember how.
He's been confirmed to appear in one quick scene. So, yeah. But even if Ellaria dies, you can trust that the Sand Snakes will continue what she started.
For Oberyn. For Oberyn.
We're the only ones who matter, and everything they've taken from us we're going to take back and more.
Oh wow, did we ever get Jaime wrong, guys? His relationship with Cersei is not getting any weaker at all after he failed at saving Myrcella, like a lot of us thought. It's actually become even stronger. My prediction is that they won't get the revenge they want. They may get a taste of it, but everything will begin to fall apart for Cersei and Jaime. This one's easy. If you have been watching me for a while, you may remember this picture I showed you a while back where Cersei and Robert Strong had been spotted filming a scene. I mentioned that they were in the same place we saw Myrcella leaving for Dorne. So it was definitely the place where Cersei would be waiting for her to return. And of course, Cersei is tearing up here because she's looking at this. Jaime on the boat approaching with the dead Myrcella. And like Chris said in our predictions video, Cersei will be thinking about Maggie the Frog's prophecy here, and become even more paranoid and overprotective with Tommen. So Davos here is not on top of the wall, even though it looks like there's a precipice behind them. And this is also not where they burned Jon Snow. This is where they burned Shireen. Need some proof? Take a close look at the rocks around it. And then look at this picture. The size of the logs is also a giveaway. I'm thinking Davos finds the stag he gave her and it'll make us tear up again. I can totally see that happening. But my question is, what is Davos doing here south of the wall? Is he on his way to Winterfell? I don't think he'd come down here to go back to Castle Black later. He must have left for good. He looks like he's alone, but I'm going to say he's got company. And whoever came with him is, or are, just out of frame. We also know that Kerry Ingram, the actress who plays Shireen, filmed something for season 6. Maybe it'll be a memory, but I'm leaning towards a vision. Something that will finally prove to us that her death will pay for Jon's life. I will go into more detail in my Jon Snow predictions video. Oh man, the look on Ramsay's face. That frown, those angry eyes. He clearly can't believe what Roose just said to him, and he won't accept it. My prediction is that what Roose is telling him here is not that Theon and Sansa are gone. I say Ramsay already knows this, and Roose is telling him something about the fact that Winterfell won't be his anymore, now that they don't have Sansa. He will be reminded of that baby brother that's threatening his position. Ramsay didn't just lose Sansa and potentially Winterfell with her, but he also lost his pet Reek, and his girlfriend Miranda. I think we have yet to see the worst side of Ramsay. And yes, like Reek said,
It can always be worse.
it can always be worse.
Great victory I saw in the flames. All of it was a lie.
The question of the year. Who are the bodies burning on the crosses? because we know that it's two main characters that we have seen before. Let me walk you through my process of elimination. It's not Stannis. I know some people think that Brienne took Stannis to Ramsay instead of killing him in order to get closer to Sansa, and that would make sense, but I believe in the confirmation we've had over and over again that Brienne killed Stannis. Not only from the book HBO released, which listed Stannis as being dead and killed by Brienne, but also the way the director explained that Stannis had nothing else to live for, nothing else to add to the story. It was very clearly the end of his character arc, even if it was a terrible way to end it. And thanks to this artwork, we also know that he was most likely beheaded. This man still has a head, and also the Boltons only flay people who are alive. That's the whole point of it, how much pain it inflicts on the victim. It's not a Karstark or an Umber, because it's been confirmed that they're both fighting for the Boltons, and that would make no sense. It's none of the Northern Lords fighting for the Starks because we haven't seen any of them before, and they're not main characters. It's not Theon, because we know that he filmed scenes with his sister Yara, so we know that he made it back home alive at least. But also Sophie Turner, who plays Sansa, said that she's really excited to see Theon's story this season, so it can't just be a death on a cross. It's not Rickon because it's clearly an adult. It's not Osha or Brienne because it's clearly a male. It's not Podrick because we know he goes to the Riverlands with Brienne, and he means nothing to Ramsay. Or anyone for that matter. It's not Tormund because he is part of the battle that starts after we see the flayed man. It's not Littlefinger because he's also still alive after the battle ends, and he's too smart to get caught up in something like this. So which other main characters do we have left to put on these crosses? Who would make sense? Before I tell you his name, let me also mention that they only showed one of the bodies. Why not show the other one? Was it a random decision to show only one of them? Or was the other body's physique too, recognizable? Yes, I'm talking about Fat Walda and Roose, guys. No one else fits the bill. But then I asked myself if I could find some hints, some foreshadowing in Season 5. And yes, of course, there's the obvious talk about the baby.
We're going to have a baby.
But I also noticed some suspicious camera shots. This is the scene where they first talk about the baby, and the last thing Roose says to Ramsay is,
"From the way she's carrying, Maester Walken says it looks like a boy."
You can see Ramsay obviously getting angry. And then right after, we get this panning shot that goes from some flayed men on the table to flames, and then to Roose's face.
How can you be sure?
It's like the director is trying to tell us something. Now, this scene by itself would mean nothing, but it's placed in between two discussions about this baby that's threatening Ramsay's claim, and making him clearly pissed. Near the end of this scene, the camera also suspiciously lingers on Roose's hands next to two crosses. But to be fair though, at the end of this scene, Roose does show that he is proud of Ramsay, and that baby is not going to become a lord anytime soon. Does Ramsay have enough reason to kill Roose right now? I doubt it, even though Ramsay has proven that he can make better decisions when it comes to war strategy, and clearly thinks he doesn't need to keep Roose around for advice. I still think he needs a way better reason to flay him.
Yes.
Something that just makes him snap and go completely mad. Could losing Sansa, Theon, and Miranda all at once cause that? I feel like we may find out next season. This may help convince you a bit more.
Winterfell is mine. Come and see.
Wouldn't that sound perfect if he said it while standing right next to his dead father and his dead pregnant wife? I know this doesn't prove anything, but I have to say it. The flayed man's head also looks a lot like Roose's. No, but trust me, I have many arguments as to why it can't be Roose, but they could all be trumped by the fact that this is the show we're talking about. And they have made plenty of things happen before that didn't make complete sense either, so... Oh, I should add that we also see the flayed man right after Ramsay gives Roose that angry look. And I think Melisandre talking about Stannis right after it is just a red herring to make us think it's Stannis. Okay, I could go on forever on this topic, but I'll stop now. Wait, I almost forgot about Davos. Nah, it's not Davos, right? This hand kind of looks like it's missing fingers, but Davos is missing fingers on his right hand, not his left. We can't really see the man's right hand here, but... Nah, come on. Who would the other person be then? I won't believe it. I refuse to believe it. Nah. But let's move on.
Great victory I saw in the flames. All of it was a lie.
I don't know about you guys, but this crying Melisandre has me convinced. It feels like she's crying for real and not just to make Davos take pity on her. But Mel, it's okay. The victory wasn't a lie. You just had the wrong person in mind. Here's the right one. You know what's weird about this clip though? Mel is wearing something black instead of her usual red. It's not like she needs a coat, since apparently the Lord's fire is enough to keep her warm. Well, maybe someone put it on her to comfort her. I'll bring this up again later. Hey guys, how's your adventure going? Seriously though, they made Jorah find the ring? Really? I'm so disappointed. I have nothing else to say about this. Except his grayscale is spreading. Look at that black nail, ew. 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 There's been foreshadowing in Season 5, Episode 2 that Jorah may get healed. Shireen talks to Gilly about how she got healed.
A lot of people came and tried, I think. Whatever they did, it went away.
But even if he doesn't, I firmly believe that grayscale won't be what kills him. One thing we know about Daario and Jorah is that they do eventually make it to Vaes Dothrak. And next one.
Every one of us is poor and powerless, yet we can overthrow an empire.
In this scene, I think they have already decided where Daenerys is supposed to go, which I think it's a Dosh Khaleen where Widow Khaleesi's go after the Khals die. I'm predicting this will happen after this scene, where she's talked down to by Khal Jaqo. It's funny how they edited this to make it easier to find her in the crowd. It's like she has her own ray of sun all to herself. She's looking shiny. The editing here makes it look like she stops walking in two different occasions, because here she's facing forward, and here she's facing to the left. But I think she just turned around after stopping. And what's going on in this scene to me looks like just her looking up at the horse statues, and then noticing Drogon flying by. But maybe she's only looking at the horse statues because, just like in Season 1, it signals her arrival to Vaes Dothrak. Drogon will come later though. You just wait for it.
Every one of us is poor and powerless, yet we can overthrow an empire.
That famous line from the teaser. See, I told you guys they were all lines that they were going to say in the show. Very strategically placed over Daenerys' clip, because it also applies to her vision of giving power to the poor by freeing slaves. I wonder who he's talking to though. Jaime? All I know is that it's a member of the Kingsguard, but it's not Robert Strong or his eyes would be looking way higher up. This is the Kingsmoot scene, and if you're a book reader, you will know what I mean by that. If you're not, all I will say is that this is where we will meet a new Greyjoy, Theon's uncle Euron. Also, this is Aeron Greyjoy here, better known as Damphair, who is another one of Theon's uncles and also a drowned priest. And although the actor playing him hasn't been revealed, we know that it isn't the other drowned man we've seen before.
You're in the great game now.
Oh my gosh, she looks so pretty. And also back to her badass self that I can't wait to finally see. I've heard people say that she has a tear running down her cheek. And trust me, I've looked at this frame by frame a whole bunch and I haven't seen anything. Only a skin bump and something else that looks more like a makeup thingy. And these two remain static throughout the clip, they don't run down her cheek. She has a concerned look on her face, yeah, but it's not a crying face. A lot of you are also wondering where she is, and let me tell you, the only way to find out is to look at this chandelier and go on a Game of Thrones chandelier hunt. This took me forever, but the closest ones I found were Winterfell, Pike, and Dragonstone. And I think we can safely scratch off Pike and Dragonstone. Also, it's not Castle Black like I've heard some people suggest. Their chandeliers aren't nearly as nice. And yes, I know other northern houses could easily have similar chandeliers, but I'm going to stick with Winterfell because they even used the same dark and pale blues from last season. The whole shot screams Winterfell to me, and so that's my final choice. I'm not saying she won't visit any other house, but this clip is showing us that at some point she will come back home.
And the great game is terrifying.
Oh my god. This is one of my favorite clips in the trailer, and a scene that I'm sure will make me poop my pants when I'm watching it. It's gonna be scary as hell. Tyrion clearly went down to the dungeons where they keep the dragons. This staircase is the same one we see here. Will he actually release them? Or will he get too scared and run away? Will he make a connection with one of them? It's been hinted at a lot that Viserion is the dragon meant for Tyrion, and if we do get some confirmation for this in Season 6, I may or may not have a nerdgasm. Oh, also, you can see Varys in the background here. A dragon flying right after Tyrion's clip, clearly implying that he will indeed release them. Perhaps. This is most definitely Drogon though, the black and red dragon. Before we move on, let's discuss what's being said. You're part of the great game now. They make it seem like Tyrion is saying it to Sansa, and even though that's definitely impossible, I'm convinced they put it there because it also applies to Sansa. But who is he actually talking to? Who's in the great game now? I've heard people say he's talking to Melisandre, and that sounds off to me. I mean, maybe if they leave her behind ruling Meereen, she'd be part of a game, but not the great game. I also thought it was weird to say it to Dany because she's been in the game for a while now. Except, you could argue that she hasn't really. And maybe Tyrion says this to her when they're finally sailing to Westeros. Now that would be a game changer. Get it? Game changer? Anyway, that may be what he means. She's finally joining the great game of Westeros.
Order your man to step aside or there will be violence.
You guys remember what Qyburn said to Cersei last season?
If it please your grace, he has taken a holy vow of silence. He has sworn that he will not speak until all his grace's enemies are dead and the evil has been driven from the realm.
If Robert Strong dies at some point, it's quite clear that we will see him kill a few people before he does. And Lancel will be one of the first on Cersei's list. Also, side note, Robert Strong's eyes will probably give me nightmares.
I choose violence.
Yep, not much else to say here. But oh boy, do I have a lot to say about this one. I'll try to keep it short though. This is Bran's vision of the Tower of Joy, when a young Ned and his companions fought 3 of the Mad King's members of his Kingsguard, to get to Ned's sister Lyanna, who was inside of the tower. I think we can all confidently assume that this guy here is young Ned. And I personally think this is actor Eddie Eyre, the one who we were told would play some Alfred Hundredth guy. We're on to you, David and Dan. I'm also assuming that this is Howland Reed, played by Robert Aramayo. Aramayo? Name butcher. If you know the Tower of Joy story well, you'll know that there's supposed to be 7 guys here instead of 6. I predicted this would happen in a video I made a long time ago. But if we do get to see a Raid on the Tower of Joy flashback, we most likely won't see all of these characters in it. The show is known for cropping down the amount of characters they put in scenes like this one. I've been talking about the Tower of Joy scene and its actors a lot in past videos. But yeah, so even with only 6 guys on 3, I'm sure it'll still be amazing to watch. The horses are also missing though, but whatever. Here we see Alistair and a couple of the guys who killed Jon trying to break into a room. I get a feeling he's not going to stop after that one hit, but if he did, that door would look an awful lot like the one in this picture. And it's not impossible for Brienne to go to Castle Black still looking for Sansa. But anyway, these guys are angry and they want something really bad. That's all we know. I agree with everyone who thinks these 2 clips were specifically edited together like this to make us think that Tommen is going against Cersei. And even though I don't think that's what's happening, I do think this is foreshadowing the fact that Tommen will eventually end up turning against Cersei this season. Also, both clips seem to be scenes for the Faith of the 7 Trials, based on the amount of people that are in that room. These are Stark Bannerman horses. You can see Stark leather armor here. This could also be this same sigil here, which looks a whole lot like House Egan's sigil. Do you remember Ser Vardis? He was the one to let Catelyn through to the Eyrie and also the one who got killed by Bronn during Tyrion's first trial by combat. He was from House Egan. So this horse could be part of the army Littlefinger brought from the Vale. Ships in a storm. Easiest thing to assume is that it's a Greyjoys, but we don't know who. Arya gets hit by the wave here, and I'm going to say this is part of her blind training. If you pause around this frame, you can sorta see the contacts still on. But there's another clip later on in this trailer that confirms it. Littlefinger standing in a snowy place. I can tell you where Littlefinger is, but we'll have to get back to this in a bit. Not much to say here except the fact that this random clip of Marjorie being placed right after Littlefinger makes me think that Peter may still be working with the Tyrells. Yes! This is another one of my favorite clips, oh my god. A hooded person on a horse swinging something that's lit on fire and attached at the end of some sort of string or something. Does this weapon have a name, guys? Because I don't know it. Either way, it's badass as hell. And yes, I'm going to say it. It has restored my hopes to see freaking Cold Hands, man. If you haven't read the books, Cold Hands is a character that is sort of like a White. He's dead, but he seems to be conscious. He helps Sam and Gilly, and then he also helps Bran and his friends get to the Three-Eyed Raven. In the books, he rides an elk, but it would make sense to switch it for a horse in the show. This is a character that the book readers have been looking forward to seeing for ages. What else points to this being Cold Hands? Well, he's not just riding in a random forest killing whites, and yes, I think this is a white, but he's also defending Mira in this scene. Yep, right here. This bump on the ground? That's Mira. We know thanks to HBO's behind the scenes video.
It's quite punishing on the cruise.
Yeah, right there.
It's tough.
And this is one of the predictions I got half right, if not fully right, in the brand predictions video I made with Chris. I said that something about this scene seemed to me like there was something bad about to happen to Mira, and later on I mentioned the possibility of Cold Hands, because of this picture. The actress who plays Mira said that she and Bran, and probably Hodor too, would be going on a pretty magical trip this season. So please be Cold Hands, and maybe even reveal the secret of who the hell is Cold Hands. Bolton soldiers and their bannermen shooting arrows. You can see the Bolton sigil here. And the Umber sigil here. This is most likely the beginning of the Northern battle in episode 9. Okay, now this is interesting. I think it's safe to assume that the Meereenese aren't advanced enough for explosives yet. And I don't think there's any alchemists around. Maybe. But there's only two things that could have caused something like this. Something being shot by a trebuchet, or something bigger than that. Yes. Smells like released dragons to me. Aha! Looks like Theon couldn't run too fast after all. This is a Bolton officer with hunting hounds catching up to him. But the question is, what is Theon turning his head around for? I think I know, but we will see that in a bit. Also, may I point out how uninterested in Theon these hounds look? It's kind of funny. If you watch this without pausing, anyone could think this is also Theon. The actor definitely looks at least related to him. But yes, as many of you already know, this is Euron Greyjoy. And he's being blessed by Aeron Greyjoy here, with seawater. Okay, time to have more children. And well, Game of Thrones had been lacking a bit of incest lately. Aha! So this is what I believe Theon was turning his head around for. Brienne coming to the rescue. In my Meet the Tarleys casting news video, I mentioned that Andrew Bryan and Tristan Hineu had been cast as Bolton officers, and that they would more than likely cross paths with Brienne and Podrick because they all added each other on Twitter around the time they were filming. Neither of these guys look like Andrew Bryan to me, and I'm guessing they're different guys because this one seems to have a beard and this one has only a mustache. But this guy does look a lot like Tristan Hineu. Which means Brienne will more than likely save Theon. It also kinda looks like they cut from one person to another here, like the first one wasn't Brienne, but it's just a cut meant to speed up the clip. They've done it in other parts of this trailer too. This is definitely Oathkeeper's belt and scabbard. I've also heard people say that this is a spoiler because now we know that Brienne came to the rescue, but the one thing they probably expect us to think is that she rescues both Theon and Sansa. I'm predicting right now that Theon and Sansa had already gone their separate ways at this point, and Brienne only saved Theon. And I mentioned earlier in this video that Brienne may go to Castle Black looking for Sansa, which makes sense, right? I had a harder time than I thought with this clip. All I knew is that it was a female character that is closely related to fire, so my options were, of course, Daenerys, Melisandre, or the new Red Priestess. These hands even looked sorta like Marjorie's. It was driving me crazy. But after a bit of help from my buddy Jerry the Targaryen Steamboat, we were able to decipher who that ring belonged to. And it is indeed Dany's ring. Not the one that she took off earlier. Many people failed to notice that she was in fact wearing 2 rings. And this one is definitely the one we were looking for. Also, I believe Dany is the only one who wears them on her index finger. And fun fact, this ring belonged to Dany's mom. And that's only in the show, not in the books. But anyway, what's happening here? I think she's about to prove to someone how little she is affected by intense heat. And this may be the scene right before Drogon shows up. And obviously we're not done with the Hall of Faces. It's all over the promotional material now, and we did get that annoying teaser as well. So it all seems to point to the fact that the Faces will be a big part of the story again this season. Arya may never become no one, but she will continue to become many other people. Or beings. Wolf. This one. In my opinion, the most misunderstood clip in the whole trailer. I don't think this clip is related to Jon's resurrection at all. I don't think she's having sex with his corpse. And I don't think this is an Issa thing. Because for that to work, I think Jon would have to love her in the first place. Unless she can change her appearance and make herself look like Ygritte. I mean, she already uses her lines and all, right? But no, too crackpotty, too tinfoily, just stop it. I was thinking about what else it could be, and something came to mind that I hadn't heard anywhere. Look at her. She looks terrified, and not only that, but look at her hair. It's all messy. She's clearly been handled roughly by someone, and I'm pretty sure it's been the men of the Night's Watch doing this to her. She doesn't have Stannis' men protecting her anymore, so it makes sense. It's even been foreshadowed many times in the books and in the show. They used this scene with Gilly to show that it does happen.
Where you going, Nav? Aren't we better looking than a fat man?
The question is she pretty down south in the real world, or is she pretty because she's the only girl here?
Not even in White Harbour. I'd want a kiss.
And there's some more foreshadowing specifically for Melisandre here.
Now, give the order. We march at sunrise.
I'll choose a dozen men to stay and guard the Queen and the Princess.
No need to come in with us.
It's a tough road ahead, Your Grace. Won't they be safer?
Here? Half these watchmen are killers and rapists. No, they march with us.
As you wish, Your Grace.
Right after they talk about it, the camera shows a smell, implying that it could happen to her. And I think it has. Keeping women safe at Castle Black has always been an issue, although I doubt we will see another rape scene. Game of Thrones got enough heat over that last season with the Ramsay and Sansa thing. But it will be an awkward, intense scene, I bet. I'm also predicting that they won't just ask her to do sexual things, they may also ask her to show them proof of her powers. And I believe Davos' anger towards her will pass, once he realizes that she's going through a lot already without Stannis. Also, remember that scene I said I would bring up again? Yeah. This could be happening after someone came to rescue her, or found her naked and gave her their coat to cover herself up with. It would be cool to see Ghost saving her like he saved Gilly. Or also watching her find a way to kill whoever is doing this to her as it's happening. Okay, I'm just gonna say it. This is Dolores Ed closing Jon's eyes. You can chillax with all of your crazy theories of who this person might be. He's wearing black from the Night's Watch, and that's the same coat we've seen Ed wear before. Also, this looks like his signature longish hair. Other than that, he's the closest friend Jon has left at Castle Black, so it would make sense for him to be the one to close his eyes. If that's what he's doing. And here, just Arya doing some jumping stunts. I don't think she's still blind at this point, but that would be really cool if she got that good. Well, I'm assuming she's good at this. For all I know, she could totally be about to land on an old lady. This to me looks like some more faceless man training. I believe she's being chased by the wave. But it makes me think that Arya may run away from the wave for real at some point. Maybe when she decides to go back to Westeros with some faces in her pockets. It is also possible that she gets sent to Westeros on a faceless man mission. But in my opinion, going there on her own terms suits the rebellious aspect of Arya a lot more. Well, look who's part of the battle here. The wildlings, mixed in with the Northmen, brandishing their axes and wearing the latest fashion in fur coats. Seriously though, this is not a funny scene at all. It looks like a lot of them are about to die. I mean, that's a pretty solid looking Bolton defense line, and it looks like there's someone already dead there? Or is that a horse? A dead horse? Something. Anything. Whatever is there, it's dead. Anyways, moving on. The first time I saw this, I thought, oh hey, lesbians. And you know, the shock lasts a whole second, which is exactly how long the clip is, and you pay no attention to who the hell those two women were. But of course the second time it was easy to see that the girl on the right was Yara Greyjoy. And the girl on the left was indeed not Melisandre, but a whore who's maybe cosplaying Melisandre. Just like that other whore we saw cosplaying Dany in Volant. Wait a minute. Is Yara in... Huh. You know, now that I think about it, the colors of the scene are not very Iron Islandish. You know, the typical greyish stuff? There's a lot of warmer tones of color here. Yes. Whether this girl is cosplaying Melisandre or not, if you pay close attention to the background, she does seem to be inside of a brothel. I see a lot of women and a lot of skin. At first I also thought she was doing what she did in the books, you know, proving to the other Ironborn at the Kingsmoot how manly she is, because that's the only way the Ironborn would let a woman rule. But I still doubt she's on the islands in this scene. Okay, I'm gonna stop making this awkward for you and for whoever is watching over your shoulder right now, and I'm gonna blur this out while I make my prediction. It's pretty straightforward. I say Yara will take over Victarion storyline in the books and go to Essos. More specifically, Volantis. Alfie Allen has been filming scenes with Gemma Welland, so I think this means that Theon will go to Volantis as well. But we'll have to wait and see. And who do we see right after that? None other than Euron Greyjoy, the guy who probably sent them there. Unless David and Dan changed everything and Yara decided to go on her own. But hey, there's a rope bridge. And book readers know what happened on a rope bridge. A certain someone's death. Yeah. I can't wait to see how the show makes it happen. I think it'll be different than in the books. But either way, I feel like him taking off his hood here will be the introductory scene for Euron Greyjoy as a new character in the show. This, my dear peeps, is none other than Arthur Dayne. Yes, and trust me, I know what people have been saying. I know they've been doubting it. But I've done my research and I'm telling you, it's him. And he clearly already killed someone. Or two someones. The two swords are quite the change. I mean, where the hell is this famous two-handed greatsword called Dawn? I was thinking maybe one of them was Dawn and the other one he just picked up from a dead body, but both of those are too wimpy looking to be Dawn. I've gotta admit though, this does look more badass. I'm also going to tell you that I'm 90% sure this is not Ned. Look at his broad body, thick arms, shield, chainmail here, and loose hair. All of it matches this guy instead. Big body, loose shaggy hair, and chainmail. Oh, and he has a shield too. Ned, on the other hand, looks a lot thinner. He's wearing regular gloves instead of chainmail, and his hair is tied up. And I know his hair tie could have fallen off. Yeah, in real life. In a show, they're gonna be fixing that freaking thing before every damn take. Oh, and no shield. I also noticed something very random. These guys are holding their swords with their right hand. And in this shot, everyone is pulling their swords out with their left hand. They totally flipped the shot. You think I wouldn't notice that you guys flipped the shot? Teh. Also, yes, this used to be what the Kingsguard armor looked like back then. Things change over time, and like I've said before, production designers, and in this case costume designers, must be able to show different time periods visually. But I was only convinced that this was Arthur Dayne after I went back to watch the video someone captured when this was being filmed, and that was the first time I noticed Arthur Dayne was wielding two swords in that video as well. And I now have enough reason to believe that Luke Roberts is indeed playing AD. I also have enough reason to believe that Christopher Hivju is indeed playing Tormund again. Okay, just kidding. But Tormund turns around to look at something. Or someone. So fast it's like a subliminal message. It's supposed to stay in your head without you knowing it. Well, of course I'm going to be talking about this, but I have more to say than, oh hey, this may or may not be Jon Snow, and move on. Yes, it's definitely his hair. Yes, it's definitely the outfit we saw him wear in that leaked picture. Yes, it definitely looks a hell of a lot like him, and I'm going to predict that it's definitely him. Why? Simply because there's no freaking way that the wildlings would be fighting in that battle if Jon wasn't there. No one else would have been able to even get close to convincing them to do that. And they're even making the connection for us, having the sequence cut in a way that it goes right from Tormund's face to a few blurry frames of the person who brought him there. Actually, if he's looking at Jon, he does kind of seem a bit surprised to see him. Wonder if that means anything. My only prediction here is more of a fact by now. Margaery will become a devotee to the faith of the Seven, but it will more than likely be a charade to avoid a harsher punishment. Oh, bunch of little birds stabbing someone, huh? Book readers will know, and I won't say anything. Please use spoiler tags if you want to talk about it, guys. Okay, so this is the clip that made me believe that Arya was still blind when the wave hit her. But geez, this is the first time she gets beat up so badly. There's no way to guess what she's looking at here. I mean, clearly nothing, right? I mean, she's blind. She can't see anything, right? But it does seem like she may be looking at something through someone else's eyes. Maybe a bit of wishful thinking, but a lot of people can't wait to see Arya improving her warging skills. And in the books, it does begin to happen when she's blind. Here, we can see the Tyrells got desperate, and they took an entire army to the Sept of Baelor to get Margaery and Loras back. I wonder if they left enough men back home to defend the Reach. Everyone will get their weapons ready, but there won't be a fight here. Not yet. It's all just a threats game. And just to give you a bit more info here, this is the High Sparrow right there. This is Jaime. And this is Mace Tyrell over here. Hey, Sansa again. I wonder if she's actually being chased or if they caught Theon and she just kept running. And you know, I really want her to make it somewhere safe, but will she really be able to? She will be back in a position of power, I know this, but I don't see it happening too smoothly. Oh, by the way, this is the other clip I wanted to get to before I told you where Littlefinger is in this shot. We can see that he's nowhere near where Sansa is, because that forest is too thick in comparison. And we can also see that it doesn't look like the place where Theon is either. I think I know where he is. I'll give you a hint. It's the same mystery place as before. Winterfell. Well, keep in mind I'm not 100% sure on these guesses, but enough to risk some money on it. I would say this is the Godswood, because I remember only one tree in the north with this type of thick, smooth and curved branches. Weirwoods. And the rest of the area looks very similar to the Winterfell Godswood. A clearing with a few thin trees in the background. So that's my educated guess, although I have no idea if this is before or after that big battle. Okay, I won't beat around the bush with this one. These are the Dothraki, riding into Meereen. Why? Because this looks like this. There. Now we have proof that Daenerys returns to Meereen with a Dothraki army. Or that's my bold prediction at least. More wildlings rushing into battle. As if we needed more shots of people rushing into battle. We get it, guys, this season will be packed with action, and I love it, but goddamn, I never noticed how many jump cuts the trailer has until now. Also, is that Tormund? And the cherry on top. Or maybe this one is more like a very thick layer of icing, because Davos at the end is definitely the cherry. Okay, so where to even start with this one? We've known for a while that this season will have a White Walker sequence that will break the internet, and probably be better than Hardhome. And I've also been saying for a while that the White Walkers would most likely get past the wall this season, and that the White Walker army would join the battle in the north. Although recently I had a new prediction in my brand predictions video that I made with Chris, that this rumored White Walker sequence that could break the internet would not happen for real, but only in a vision of Bran's. So seeing this got me really excited because it confirmed half of my prediction. Bran will see the White Walkers in a vision, but there's no way to tell if this will be part of that internet breaking sequence or not. There may be another one that does happen for real. But I will continue on with my prediction that Bran will make us see something amazing, and we will learn new information about the White Walkers through him. Another one of my predictions was that Bran may see the last long night, and this Night's King does look a bit different from the one we saw last season. But then again, the Night's King has always looked different every season. The reason why I think that if the wall comes down it'll only be in a vision is because, even if it were to happen in the last episode of this season, we know that we're more than likely getting 8 seasons of Game of Thrones, and that would mean spending 2 entire seasons on the Ice and Fire battle, which sounds way too long to me, but who knows. This scene may also be meant to show us another thing that the Night's King is capable of doing. Last time it was the power to raise thousands of dead wildlings all at once. This time it sort of feels like he also has the power to merge his consciousness with Bran's, when he's doing his green scene. Maybe he could sense him using his powers and attracted Bran's consciousness to himself to make Bran see him. I say this because Bran looked really out of place, like he didn't mean to be there. He looked lost and very scared. I can't wait to see what else was around him. I hope it's giant spiders.
I've never been much of a fighter. Apologies for what you're about to see.
And here we go, the cherry on top. La creme de la creme. Badass Davos, I love it. But did this scene ever confuse me? Holy crap. It still does a bit. I went through the same reactions as most of you on my first time. Being sorta like, the hell? Is he gonna chop Jon's head off? Is he gonna kill Ghost? Or is Ghost dead and he's just gonna chop his head off? Then later I watched it again and realized that he was talking about fighting, not chopping things. But then I was like, damn, that's gonna be one tight fight in that tiny room. Until finally it clicked and I understood that the guys in that room are on Jon's side, and on Davos' side. And they're only unsheathing their swords to fight the guys who were trying to break in earlier. Or so this trailer makes it seem like. It also made sense why Ghost wasn't already growling or attacking the guys in the room. And to everyone who was worried about Ghost being dead, he's not. Look at this. I'll slow it down for you so you can see him breathing. Or at least just starting to lift his head or something, if you look around this area. Also, upon closer inspection, you can see that Ghost isn't lying next to Jon's body. He's standing on all fours next to the table that Jon's body is on. But two questions remain. Why would Alistair and the others want Jon's body now? Why didn't they just grab it after they stabbed him? And why would Davos and these guys want to protect Jon's body? They don't know anything about resurrection possibilities. And I doubt Melisandre told them to keep it safe so she could do it later. She hasn't had the greatest track record lately, so I wouldn't expect them to believe her. I also don't think Alistair wants Jon's body to show it to Ramsay, to prove that he's dead. I somehow doubt that they would take it all the way down to Winterfell just to show him, and then come back. That sounds off to me. If Ramsay threatened to kill them if they didn't show proof, then when they actually came to kill them, they would see Jon's body. I mean, it makes no sense to me. So I'm proposing this. What if we're approaching this the wrong way? What if what Alistair and the others outside want, and what Davos and the others in this room are protecting, is actually Ghost? He's the only thing left threatening them. And also, metaphorically, if not literally, he's a part of Jon. And as long as Ghost lives, Jon won't ever be truly dead. So that's my prediction. They want to kill Ghost. But I may be wrong and they could be trying to burn his body. I don't know, we shall see. I will be making another video on Jon's predictions next, so be sure to stick around for that. I will be explaining some of my crazy but not so crazy theories on how he will be resurrected. Can I go to sleep now? I haven't slept in days making this video. I can't fucking wait for this season, man. I can't wait. Don't judge me.